Previously on the Beam Chronicles.
Devil may care. It was a phrase I did not know before meeting Cal Sparks, but one I may have constructed on my own explicitly to describe him, and he was bar none the handsomest man I had ever seen. A column of lava spewed up from the ground, glancing across Cal's famously handsome face. It was often said that Cal and Charlie would inevitably wind up together. This never came to fruition, partially because Cal got married to someone else, but most importantly because Charlie could not tolerate him for half of a minute.
I found myself running down a long, dark tunnel with a distant light that I somehow knew was where I wanted to get. I just had to reach it, and the weird would stop. I ran in slow motion, my feet slipping out from under me like I was on sheer ice. It had been an hour and a half since I'd grouped out of Murphy's room in medical. An hour and a half gone.
These are the Beam Chronicles, with your host, MJ Dooney. Book 3, Cataclysm. Chapter 21, Charlie Shayde.
The first thing I did once I'd leveled my head was finally six out Nash in his cabin, just up the road from mine. Just for peace of mind, just for normalcy, just to know whether or not he was okay. He wasn't alone, entertaining some guests I didn't know, probably sheltering them from the bedlam outside, brave, benevolent grandpa that he was. Everyone in his house was alive, and so with that off my mental checklist, I stuffed it away and grouped back to HQ. Into the brain chamber of the oubliette. I wanted to confirm that nobody had physically tampered with my brain and all the chaos, germinating these weird pseudo-memory theater experiences I'd twice found myself snapping into and once found difficulty snapping out of. But a top-to-bottom 6 revealed no difference in the apparatus. It was all me in there, exactly as we'd left it a week ago. Whatever was happening to my brain wasn't something nefarious. It wasn't instigated by some external source. Only me. Maybe I was just losing it. Hell, probably I was just losing it, and who would blame me at that point? I didn't want to be alone. I didn't know what was causing them, but I had enough clarity to recognize these events were thus far only occurring when I was alone. And even if that loneliness wasn't correlated, just a coincidence, it would probably behoove me to find a friend anyway. Trouble was, I didn't have an overabundance of those in the first place, and most of the ones I had were either dead, dying, or possessed by a pan-dimensional warlord bent on global destruction. Still, I needed a person. Hell, I didn't even want to talk to them. I kind of just had to get out of my own head in the waning moments of the whole universe. I went through my mental list in order of who would be most receptive to my company without also depressing the hell out of me. Phil was recovered, but asleep. I could six it from the hallway in medical. And while he was shockingly probably my best friend left, it was beyond my cruelty to wake him up into this world. If I thought I had a prayer of sleeping right now, I would be right there with him, going out peacefully, obliviously. On top of that, the venomous, deranged, spiraling madness in his eyes the instant before I punched him out still lingered with me. I didn't feel like dealing with all that over again, if it hadn't yet subsided. My next healthiest associate was probably Lane, and I could six the medical staff was already out of her room. This meant she was either stable or dead, so I grouped in to make that very distinction. She was hooked up to all sorts of breathing machines and heart rate monitors, things I couldn't really understand, but the beeping and the humming and the pumping made it seem like she was at least alive. I didn't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing, or honestly completely irrelevant. For my selfish purposes, mostly just neutral. I waited a few seconds for her to respond to my presence, but it seemed pretty clear she was a bit comatose. At least I had Lane for an alternate. Should I wind up unable to find something more uplifting, more occupying, at least I had her dependable, indifferent silence to fall back on. I hesitated a little longer, then stepped up to her bedside and set my hand on her shoulder. If you can hear me, good luck, Rector. Obviously, she didn't reply. Stupid. Shouldn't have said anything. A preemptive surface level sixing of Madman's room next door told me it was still bustling with personnel. A positive indicator in some sense because it meant they were still working to save him, which meant he was still kicking, somehow. A negative indicator in another sense because if medical took more than an hour to fix you, they were resorting to the Hail Mary back end of their playbook. I didn't even bother checking Sydney's room. Didn't have the stomach. Cal's was next and empty, so I grouped just inside the doorway. I never liked him. For a while I hated him, but it was hard for me to hold up the animosity through all the pity. Watching him lying in that hospital bed, eyes closed, wheezing breath, charred to a crisp. Brutally disfigured in gray, deep burns all the way down one half of his body. It deprived him of his off-putting arrogance, I guess, made me consider him just slightly longer than I would have otherwise. In any case, he was out as well, and not so pleasant to look at either. Rector was probably my best bet for company in the last hours of Earth, so I turned my back to leave the room.
Shayde.
I was a famously hard person to startle, but Sparks came pretty close to doing so. I halted in the doorway, spun around to face him. Hey, Cal.
Sid's, that way.
He gestured to the right with his thumb, clicking his tongue against the roof of his mouth. I smiled, took a few steps into the room, rubbing my forearms. Chilly room. I assumed they were keeping it cold to help soothe his burns. Yeah, I know, I was just checking up on everybody, I guess. Surprised you're awake.
Can't sleep. Keep having this horrible dream that I ain't pretty no more.
Cal smirked, his favorite facial expression, only it was clearly distorted this time. Half of it was too jagged and crooked, plowing its way through the battlefield of singed scars blanketing his face. This smirk didn't carry that charismatic swagger that typically shined through, but then it wasn't quite pitiful either. A testament to how smug it was before the accident. In fairness, I pulled a chair up to his bed and slouched into it, folding my arms. I never found you all that pretty to begin with.
Ooh, you wicked little harpy.
He squinted and winced.
Such a sharp tongue for such a pretty little mouth.
I ignored his backhanded compliment. Even if Cal and I never got along 100%, I'd put that aside for now. I was marginally overjoyed to have somebody to talk to other than Howie before the world ended. Spark probably felt the same. How's the pain? He lifted the morphine pump he was clutching in his hand, wiggled it back and forth a bit, raising his eyebrows and cheesing like the Cheshire cat.
Charlie.
He lowered his hand, suddenly somber.
I hate to ask you, but I gotta ask you if you made the rounds already.
He took a deep, laborious, reedy breath, and I pretended it wasn't that pathetic.
Thing is, they won't tell me. I know I've only been in here for an hour or two, so maybe they just don't know for sure yet, but I keep asking how everybody's doing and nobody will fucking tell me, and I've always known I can count on you to be blunt as a marijuana cigarette, so I'm asking you now, how's the team looking? How we doing? Laney and Mikey? Sid? Murph?
Their names were like hot, serrated knives shredding my guts. I think even Cal noticed how painfully it struck me, given the way he sucked his lower lip into his mouth, balled up his fists. I tried to explain best I could. I mean, it's like you said, it's only been a little bit, so whatever I say, grain of salt, you still gotta hold out hope, right? Shit changes quickly, especially this kind of shit.
Right, I know. I just figured,
He faded out, coughed to clear his throat, but it escalated into a full-on fit. Some nasty black shit came out into his handkerchief. He vainly stuffed it away as if I didn't see.
Just figured sick fucks like us, Shayde. We know what dying looks like, don't we?
He was right about that. I brushed my fingers through my locks, giving him my complete analysis, as if any of it mattered anyway with the doomsday clock at 2 hours. Still, I could fake it for Cal, even if I disliked him. I wish somebody would show up to fake it for me. Rector's gonna make it. She bumped her head pretty good, but she didn't take any real damage beyond that. Saved you and Mathis from getting pulverized too, at least from what they've pieced together.
You don't know what happened? You was there, weren't you?
I was pretty preoccupied, Sparks, and in a million pieces. He nodded, accepting my ignorance excuse, so I pressed through my assessment. Mathis is, he's pretty fucked up. Actually, real fucked up, but then again, I've seen worse, and it's medical, right? It's just gunshot wounds. They get those every day, and the doctors are still working. An hour ago, I'd say he was lights out, but now, I give him 50-50. Nobody will know for sure for a few weeks, but again, not like it mattered, not like any of us would make it a few weeks to determine if Madman would pull through. Sparks didn't make that connection, at least not right away.
I'll take 50-50.
His face was more uplifting and relieved than was appropriate, but again, I wouldn't dare spoil it for him. Murphy's, I couldn't finish. Just shook my head and tapped my knuckles against the bar of his bed. Cal was an equalizer through and through, practiced enough with the concept of death that he knew what it meant when one of us couldn't speak. He knew what happened just from that. Not how, but why'd that matter? Would Cal be interested to discover our old mentor was skewered on a helicopter propeller? No, he was gone. Gone was gone. Hell, that's how we were trained to think.
How's your boy? How's, Purple?
I shifted my eyes around the room, refusing to acknowledge the question. Again, I knew he'd get it.
Fuck. That leaves you and Green then? Plus, Bugsy, or whatever the hell he's called.
Phil's not in a good way. I tried my best to explain without remembering the crazed look he gave me before I socked him in the jaw. Sydney kinda took Enzo's wings and kamikazed Quez. That's the only reason that, humanity is still standing, so in that sense it was good, but Phil snapped, I guess. And I told Enzo to piss off because he helped Sid do it. Sparks nodded like it was obvious, the only just course of action.
So just you then?
Plus Howie. He snorted, rolled his eyes, one of the few people capable of understanding how shitty my life had become in a matter of hours.
We ain't done though, right? You're army enough on your lonesome. Hell, I'd bet on you against End of Days got some crazy sort of mischief yet to pull out of that tight little ass of yours, right?
Not the most appropriate moment for that sort of comment, but I didn't care enough to get mad. I'd already wasted too much time getting mad at people over shit that didn't matter. Ill-timed opportunity to talk about my ass, yeah, but Cal had a reputation to uphold. As a careless son of a bitch, even smoldering on his deathbed, and who was I to judge someone for falsely propagating a bullshit reputation? Me, the soft-hearted romantic who couldn't get over her own love story to save the fucking planet, but spent years pretending she was hard as nails. I think my ass has taken enough abuse the last few days to be plumb out of tricks. Sparks. He scoffed, then winced, pressing his morphine pump.
I'd make a lewd joke about that. You're damn near setting yourself up for one, but I reckon you'd still slug me in the face, even considering the circumstances.
Got a lot of people higher up on my slug list than you right now.
Been a while since that's been true, huh?
I know it runs against your chesty, overinflated self-worth, but you'd be surprised how little I regard you either way.
Bitch.
He grumbled, then snickered, then let out a hefty, exhausted exhale, the kind only really suitable for bottom of the barrel.
Reggie'd kill me, if she knew I was talking to you, by the way.
Reggie's, your wife, right? Man, I should probably know that.
You probably should.
Why would she care about you talking to me?
Well, you recall back in the glory days when everybody and their mother was trying to get you and I to hook up?
Barf. Yes, and you were 30 and I was 18. That's half the reason I hate you so much. I guess, hated you?
Right.
He rolled his eyes, chuckled lightly.
Anyhow, back when I first started dating Reggie, she never heard the end of it. How you and me were gonna wind up together and she was just gumming up the works. I tried my damnedest to tell her I wasn't into it. You were too young, too mean, too a lot of stuff, frankly. But I couldn't control the rest of them talking. Hell, most of the flat came from Mikey just to be a dick.
Sounds like Madman.
Yeah, classic Madman. He at least told her it was just for kicks, in his defense, but Reggie, she got all jealous and insecure anyway, so I made her a promise. You and I wouldn't associate no more if she married me. That's why I stopped talking to you. I didn't even know if you noticed.
Totally. I sarcastically nodded. 'Cause we used to hang out so much, right? He largely ignored me, turned his head, became suddenly very interested in the way he flicked his own fingers together. I couldn't get a good look at his face, given the way he was averting his gaze from me, but when he lifted it again, cleared his throat, tried unsuccessfully to throw up his infamous smirk, I realized the subtle moisture in his eyes.
She never did believe me that I loved her. Dumb, right? Only told her damn near 1,000 times. Thick-headed idiot. But she was always so skeptical, so worried I'd get flaky and bored and move along like I was apparently supposed to. Fucking other people, you know? She'd meet some stranger, some nobody at Lone Star, a hotshot new recruit, a receptionist, fucking window washer, somebody like that. She'd introduce herself and they'd give her that dopey, thunderstruck disbelief like, "You're Reggie Sparks. You're Cal's wife."
He sneered, reached up to itch the side of his face, but mercifully halted before he touched the fresh burns, curled his fingers into a tight fist.
Couldn't do or say nothing that cut through all the other people talking.
Yeah, like they're entitled to justification for who you decide to spend your life with. I added, trying to demonstrate my empathy best I could. I got some of that with Jackson, I guess. Curse of being good looking, I suppose. He used to struggle convincing himself I was in love with him.
Bet he wouldn't doubt it now.
He raised his eyebrows.
You damn near ended creation before you put a bullet in him. Mighty fucking reckless of you, by the way. Now that we're already lost, we could start calling spades spades.
Would you have done it? Would you have killed Reggie if Questopa wasn't her? He snorted, looked toward the ceiling to think for a second.
Nah,
was all he eventually bothered to reply. It was followed by one of the most uncomfortable silences I'd ever experienced, to the point where I started to memorize the cadence of the IV machine clicking, but Cal broke it pretty shortly thereafter.
Only 2 people in the world I could count on to make me laugh whenever I needed it. One of them was Madman, and I ain't never gonna see him again. Other one was Reggie, and well, I reckon she don't want to see me.
Suddenly I was struck with something I could do. In these last few hours that was worth anything at all. The people I wanted to spend my last moments with weren't available. The reunion I so desperately wanted from me and Jackson and Sydney was out of reach. But for Cal... Hey Sparks, do you know where she is, Reggie?
Yeah, of course. She's up in Murphy's office with all of our families. Well, I guess technically it's Caraway's office. Wait, no, I mean...
He squeezed his eyes shut and shook his head.
All these people keep fucking dying on me. She's in the head equalizer's office, whoever the fuck that is at this point. Probably me, right? Anyway, I put her there first before I moved the governors or anybody.
Do you want me to get her for you? He didn't reply, looked back down at his hands again. I can do it in like 3 seconds, Sparks. I'll have her in here before you can blink. I tried my best to convince him to give me this one measly chore, the feeblest errand I could run, to take my mind off of everything before it all went to shit. Whatever, I couldn't deny it. I was so bad at not fighting, I needed any tiny victory to latch onto. He slowly looked back up, smirked, tipped his head, and opened his mouth, no doubt to lather on some cocksure wisecrack, some sarcastic joke, but then he stopped. He pressed his lips together, licked them briefly, then tried again, minus all the carefree bluster, earnest and concerned. It was difficult to watch him give up his facade.
You think she's gonna freak out about...
He lazily circled an open palm around the scarred half of his face, trying to seem as cavalier and disinterested as he could, but his eyes told me it was a question he desperately needed a genuine answer to. I shrugged. That's not that noticeable, honestly. He scratched the side of his nose that was unscathed with his thumb, let out a mighty breath.
You think that's wrong by her, though? To ask her to come see me like this when she could just go out with a pretty image in her head? You think it's abusive of me to taint her perfect memory of who I was in the last minutes of her life or whatever?
You've been married for 5 years, dipshit. You really think she was only into you for your looks? She's gonna want to see you. I don't care how repulsive you are.
All right.
He sounded slightly perturbed, not enough to elevate the volume of his voice, stifle his practice cool, although in the current situation it was strained to its breaking point anyway. He flicked his fingers together a few more times, contemplating, trying not to cry.
I do want to see her.
He shakily admitted, lifting his stern gaze to meet mine.
Like, really, really want to see her, you know, but I only want to see her if she wants to see me back, alright? So before you bring her in here, you tell her the story, Shayde. You tell her I'm not the handsome bastard she married. Tell her I got kissed by the devil and he left a mark. Big one. Don't pull no punches. Normally, I think I could count on a hard ass like you for that much, if nothing else, but...
Yeah, I know. I've been, pulling a lot of them lately. He finally smiled this time, not smirked. It was an odd sight, but soothing.
Alright, well, see what happens then.
With permission in hand, I grouped up to the office that once belonged to Murphy, then Maria. Now I guess nobody. It was pretty full of important people, government people, and the family of equalizers who mattered the most, and their nervous chattering died away the second they all recognized I was there. I caught a quick glimpse of Murphy's daughter, who anxiously stepped toward me, wringing her hands. I turned away from her as quickly as I could. I acted like I didn't even recognize her, not exactly eager to engage in that conversation. I had enough on my plate. Truthfully, they all deserved better than just sitting around here ignorant and scared, but I didn't have the courage nor the energy to go through all of them, figure out who was who, and break the bad news. I'm looking for Reggie, I called into the room. Reggie Sparks?
Over here, Charlie.
The timid voice came from immediately behind me, and I spun on my heels to face her as she climbed up from her seat on the floor. Oh, of course. Sorry, Reggie. I pretended like I knew her by her face. In truth, this was the first time I recalled seeing her. But the way she was looking at me, like I was her long-lost sister or something, dictated pretty clearly that we'd met in the past. I'd just forgotten. In my defense, she was largely forgettable, plain, not ugly, but nothing to write sonnets about, nothing special, not the sort of girl you'd expect a suave, handsome dude like Cal to be married to. But he just expressed so much contempt for people who came to that conclusion, so I tried to stuff it away.
What's going on? Is it Cal? Did something happen to Cal?
She asked me after I'd stared at her like an idiot for longer than was comfortable. No. I lifted my hands to gesture her to calm, then hissed through my teeth as the image of his current face flashed through my head. Well, okay, actually, sort of. Something happened, but, I glanced over my shoulder at the crowd of people gathered around me, staring us down with bated breath, murmuring to each other. This wasn't the sort of thing I wanted to do in front of an audience. I think maybe we could go somewhere else.
Oh, God, no, don't tell me!
Her lips started quivering and her face was raw panic. Hold up, easy, Reggie.
But he told me before he left that this one was life or death, that this was a big one, and now you're here, so that must mean...
It was hardly discernible, her sniveling, shaking, high-pitched voice. People around me were already gasping, clutching their chests, looking at each other with wide-eyed expressions of grief and horror. Too much drama out of strangers for me. Ugh. I grabbed her shoulder and led her through the room, out into the hallway where we could discuss things. Relax, I growled once we'd secured some privacy, then made an effort to soften my tone. He's not dead, okay? Just chill out and walk with me for a minute. I can't really group you yet anyway.
Where are we going? What's wrong? What's going on?
We're going to Med. Cal's awake. He's asking for you. He wants to see you, but... My explanation was interrupted abruptly by her throwing her arms around my neck, hanging and sobbing into my shoulder. This wasn't exactly what I'd signed up for, and in my head I was cursing Cal for putting me in this overly emotional situation, but I tried to stay supportive on the surface, patting her back and letting her use me to hold herself up. Okay, I feebly reassured. But listen, here's the thing. He wants to make sure you know what you're getting into before you see him.
What are you talking about?
She asked, stepping away from me and rubbing her nose on her sleeve. He had a little accident. In his words, he got kissed by the devil and it left a mark. He's burned. Half of his face, pretty badly, I think 3rd degree, but, it's rough, okay? Not pretty. I don't want to sugarcoat it, and he's currently on copious amounts of narcotics, but he's alive, and he's conscious, and he's stable. When I asked him if he wanted me to get you, he said yes, but he wanted me to first make sure that you really wanted to see him like that before I brought you back. Reggie Sparks frowned, squeezed her thumb, started shaking her head as she glared at the floor. It was awkward for me, given that I didn't know this woman, or how to interpret these silent displays of her feelings. I couldn't really tell what she was thinking, whether she wanted to see him or not. So I spoke up, meekly. So look, are we... She flashed her eyes up to me, intense and fiery, and spoke in a voice that was perfectly Texan.
You get me in front of that goddamn idiot right now, Charlie Shayde.
I grinned, nodded, tipped my head toward the elevator. We didn't waste time, didn't speak. I took her down to medical without another word, led her right up to the door, swiped my card, and pushed it open. She bull rushed past me, not that I would have tried to get in her way anyway.
So what she's...
Cal began to drawl, obviously not anticipating that Reggie would force her way into the room first. He chuckled, then started openly weeping, and she stopped in front of his bed, folding her arms.
You think I care about this?
She growled, gesturing an open palm at him.
You really think I care about this? What kind of person you think I am, Cal?
Reg.
Shut up.
She shook her head one more time, started walking to his bed.
Just shut the fuck up.
And she collapsed into it, on top of him. I never heard Cal Sparks laugh quite like he did when his wife climbed into bed with him in that instant. It wasn't how he functioned. Every time before that, even with his best buddy Madman, Sparks laughed at things. Like the grander punchline, like the joke above everything all along was that we were all alive to begin with. I didn't think he legitimately cared about a damn thing, and maybe for a while that was even true. But as he cradled his wife in his arms, kissed the top of her head, nuzzling into his chest, he laughed. A real, genuine, happy laugh. His stoic, freewheeling reputation was shattered by this plain, forgettable woman. Cal Sparks never cared, but he cared so much about his wife, and he glanced over to me, still waiting in the doorway, leaning against it, trying not to invade their moment, folding my arms and watching. Cal nodded, and I nodded back. Finally, something a little bit good. And I would have stayed there watching their simple joy until the bitter end. But then Satan himself slithered into the doorway right behind me. And as he smiled, a self-satisfied, slimy smile, as if he had shit to do with anything in that room, all the comfort and warmth in my belly flipped to acerbic, icy pain.
Beautiful, isn't it?
He feigned sincerity with the same practiced polish he had the day I met him. I scoffed, rolled my eyes, then rolled out the door, mostly to lure Howie away, as a favor to Reggie and Cal, giving them the intimate moment they deserved without his grimy presence muddying it up. As expected, he followed me into the hallway, stuffing his single hand into his pocket as I paced away, still sixing them so I didn't have to say goodbye just yet.
You could save it, you know.
He called after me, stopping my retreat cold. I spun around to face him as he went on.
A love like theirs, loves like yours. There are thousands of them left, Charlie. Even now, love rages on, even in the ruined world left in Questopo's wake. There are still things worth saving, worth protecting.
Oh, do go on, Prophet. Tell me more about the virtuous merits of humanity. It clearly irked him.
Honestly, I know you have your little issues, but how could you possibly be so selfish? Just because you can't be happy means the whole damn world should be sacrificed?
I shrugged ambivalently, mostly to piss him off more. Objectively, no. But maybe if I can't be happy, I want the whole world to be sacrificed. I hate them, Prophet. That much is your fault, too. I still hate them all. And I don't know what you've been doing for the last hour or so, but nothing has changed since the last time we talked. Still, I'll repeat myself. I'll say it even slower so you might take it in this time. Fuck the world. Purge it clean for all I care.
Even Cal and Reggie.
Cal and Reggie are two people.
But they are two. You can't just deny their existence to suit your rage-fueled vendetta. Are they just the unfortunate victims of your universal animosity? Could you not see it in yourself to save the planet just for that right there?
He pointed to the door, and I could still six them through it, cuddling and lying together, laughing. Fucking Prophet. so goddamn manipulative, so perfectly primed to capitalize on any emotional situation to get what he wanted. Nothing was off limits. Everything was a potential tool to satisfy his whims. How was he even human? He was probably sitting in an adjacent room just lying in wait patiently like a hunting spider until something happened that he could distort, turn around, gently guide into his twisted agenda used to motivate me. Something as pure and beautiful and good as Cal and Reggie's love was now the reason I had to destroy my own. But the worst part about it, he was always cold justified. Always knew he was right, knew if he put my shaky bullshit stances on trial, they'd crumble. I'd crumble. For as much as I hated the world, for as much as I hated him, didn't I have to save them all? Didn't I have to save the world? No, there was still one reason left. The only reason from the very beginning, and it sucked. It was much less badass than fuck the world, but at least he couldn't deny me it. I still can't kill him, Howie.
I'm not asking you to kill him.
Yes, you are.
I've already explained it to you. Tyler Foon
You're
will...
asking me to participate in a plan in which he dies. And I know for you, from your fucking bureaucratic semantics pedestal, safely hiding up in your office, steepling your fingers and laughing maniacally while everyone else kills the people you designate, that doesn't count. But it does for me. All right? Especially now, especially this one. It doesn't matter if I pull the trigger or not. You're asking me to kill him. To kill Jackson. He took his time trying to dance around it, trying to find the profit spin that would bowl me over one last time. Maybe he had too much respect for me at that point to keep trying to lie, or more likely he recognized there wasn't enough time to weave a web intricate enough to snare me again. So instead, he resorted to a tactic that he'd almost never deployed. The truth.
Yes.
He admitted with earnest eye contact and a steady disposition.
I need you to help me kill him. I'm asking you to kill Jackson Teak.
Thank you for being honest with me once in your fucking life.
Then you'll do it.
No, I replied simply, then spun away from him and began walking away. I still didn't group. Possibly because I secretly wanted him to keep trying to convince me, but more likely because I didn't want to get too far away from Cal and Reggie before I absolutely had to.
Charlie, just wait a minute. Just give me a second to convince you that...
And when he touched my shoulder, with just the tips of his fingers, I fell right back into that tunneling abyss with a light at the end. The same one I was running through after the last memory, the one with the ghostly voices from yesteryear playing unconfidently in the background, broken images that couldn't quite establish themselves rattling in and out of my perception. I sprinted for that light, terrified of what Howie could possibly be doing to me while I was in this freakish realm of God knew what and God knew why. That's when I heard it. That same voice from last time. The voice I didn't recognize, didn't know. That soothing, peaceful, scattered voice. Only this time, it was clear as day what this voice was trying to say to me.
I promise, Charlie, from here to the end, it's going to get better.
Next thing I knew, I was in some dark, metallic cave. Alone with Howard Prophet.
Thank you for listening to the Beam Chronicles, a fiction podcast written and produced by me, MJ Dooney. I have Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and Twitter if you want to follow and see if I ever figure out what to post. You can rate me on Spotify and or Apple Podcasts, and if you'd like to chat, beamchronicles@gmail.com. You can also send me a donation on Buy Me a Coffee by clicking support the show in the episode description. Sorry that I missed last week. I was in California for the weekend to play Pokemon Go, and it really messed up my ability to edit. I have a loose policy that I never want to rush out an episode if I feel like the quality is suffering because of it. I know consistency is what promotes growth, and everybody wants to hear the next part of the story and all that, but I figured giving myself a week was better than forcing out something I wasn't super proud of. Anyway, now that I'm back, I should be able to maintain my regular schedule of every Monday. One more thing to add. Happy birthday to my gorgeous, creative, brilliant, love of my life and reason to breathe, Michelle. Always my biggest fan, the only alpha listener I'll ever need, literally the only person who's read through book 6 of the story and knows all of the twists and turns all the way through book 7, which I'm currently writing. I never would have committed to this project if it weren't for her consistent, uplifting support. She inspires me every day. She makes my life worth living. If she had Questopo in her and the world depended on me to take her out, sorry, gang, we're cooked. I couldn't do it. Anyway, happy birthday, Mish. Sorry if I'm annoying sometimes, and I love you. All music and sound effects were sourced from the Epidemic Sound Library. Special thanks to Janet Shasha for creating the cover art for the show. Find her on Instagram at ChiliBeanArt, and thanks again for listening.